in Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
Okay, back with you, everybody. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. If you'd like to be part of the program, be sure to call us tonight. It's going to be a good show. 866-870-5752. How are you doing tonight, Jonathan?
Pretty good. Had a good weekend. How about you?
All right, fine.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to play the woman part here. Don't you know what today is?
No, I don't.
Have you forgotten?
Is it your birthday?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's our first anniversary show. Or it's the last one. I'm not sure what it is, but we've been on.
Well, I think our first show was January 21st.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay.
last year.
Well,
So we're getting close.
We're getting close
Yeah.
here. But I just wanted to know if you'd remember.
You know, it's
They beat you up for 2 weeks.
No, I know. I should have. I know it's episode 49,
Yeah,
so we're getting
yeah.
close to 50.
We are indeed. And we want to thank you, the audience out there. You make the show what it is. We get a lot of good remarks. We really enjoy your phone calls. It really helps us because it keeps it live. This is talk radio, and this is most importantly citizen-sponsored radio because we rely very much upon your contributions to keep the show on and to keep us doing what we're doing, and we're really going to need it in this year because, as you know, in addition to being the show, the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government, in the next 2 years we are going to become, as we always have been, the voice of choice. And that's and when we talk about choice, we are talking about school choice, not the other evil alternative. We're talking about restoring the civil rights of parents throughout the United States, starting right here in California, their right to control the education of their own children. And so in the coming years, we are going to take our children back. We're going to take our money back, and we are going to become part of the solution, not part of the problem. And so tonight here, I don't know, maybe later on the program at 8:30, we're going to have Mark Bucher, Bucher, who is the president of the California Policy Center. And he
CEO, I think.
CEO, he is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, CEO. Will Swaim, my friend Will, is the president of the California Policy Center. So we're going to have Mark on to talk about the LAUSD strike, which, as we speak, apparently is on for tomorrow, 31,000 and so forth. So I think maybe later on we may have a moment of silence for the striking so-called teachers.
The strike is on.
Yeah. And
they're serious about this. They want more money, and they're not going to take anything less.
They are. And so we want to encourage all of you who have been the beneficiaries of such an extraordinary education in the LAUSD. We want you to go out there tonight and go run and pick up a striking teacher off of a grate or something like that, wherever apparently they're living in poverty and penury, or go down there on Skid Row, pick one up, take home.
By the way, I think you know our Grifter of the Week awards?
Yes.
It's going to be LAUSD.
It better be.
But we will take any nominations.
Yeah.
If you have any nominations, please call in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every city's got them, grifters.
Oh, yeah, we do. We're going to cover all that and more here tonight. But, in fact, we've got somebody who jumped on the phone right away tonight, and I got to go ahead and try to take him because I think what he wants to talk about will coincide very neatly with some of the things I'm going to talk about LAUSD. We have Stephen from Lakewood who would like to be part of the program tonight. Stephen, welcome to Radio Free Los Angeles.
Well, thank you very much for taking my line.
Hey, you're welcome.
I just wanted to say you were talking about the teachers being homeless and go pick them up and all that. You know, what I think we ought to do is pick up a bunch of homeless people and take them down to Mexico and then have them come back through Tijuana as a caravan. They would probably get better treatment than they get now.
They could save the dreamers. Yeah,
they could save the dreamers. Yeah,
yo soy dreamer, right? No, that's it. Well, you know, let's talk. The reason why I wanted to take your call was because we cannot understand the fiscal crisis in Los Angeles if we do not understand the intimate relationship between the invasion of our borders and the business that we call education, quote unquote. We'll just call it the school business, which is owned and operated by the left, owned and operated by the so-called teachers' unions in this state. These children, when they arrive here, there's a reason why the first invaders in the last go-around, remember during the Obama administration, where they were organizing trains down there, and they were in some cases flying them in. It was the children that came first. They were not only appealing as sympathetic faces for the open borders movement, but most importantly, for the government industry, beginning with the schools. They represent cash flow. Every one of those children who get here represent cash flow. And, Steve, we've talked about it in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you will recall, but in the governor's 19, not my numbers, not Mark Bucher's or Fox News numbers, these numbers are right out of the California governor's 2018-19 fiscal year budget. Total state spending will average per pupil $16,085. That's how much money one of those kids represents to the school system. That's why they worry about attendance so much, because it's cash flow. So the demographic of America has been declining for years. The high rate of illegal immigration has been necessary to keep revenues up to their system. Do you gather my point? Do you see my point, Steve?
I do, but maybe we can have some homeless people teach them because they're not learning anything in the schools.
Right.
Hey, that's a great idea.
It could, yeah.
That solves two problems.
Yeah.
They could teach them some street smarts.
Well, Stephen, by the way, have you been listening to the program for long?
No, this is the first time I heard you come on. I do listen to some of the other speakers on your radio station. Mr. Elder and some others.
Right.
And, I really like your station a lot. I think it's very poignant, and most of the speakers that you have got, talk about real issues, and they put flesh and blood on it, which the Democrats don't do. Have you ever noticed that people that are involved in terrorism, whether it's political terrorism or physical terrorism, always hide behind children?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They use them as human shields. Yeah, it's and we're all supposed to get teary-eyed here as we get our arms twisted to pay, put more money into the system here. And in fact, while I've got you on the phone, I can use you to I cover the material that I wanted to cover as part of our conversation. The LAUSD has revenues that are at least $278,000 per teacher. Now, for all you teachers out there, I did not say that you got paid $278,000. What I said was that into the system, one of the metrics is that there's $278,000 going in. So it's obvious that not all the money is going into teaching. Not at all. You're just not. They're not allocating the money properly. They hire too many other people. The schools, of course, do even when they teach. The basics, reading, writing, arithmetic, history. Even when those things occur, the schools are still delivery points for socialism. Those are places where they advance the left-wing agenda, where they promote secularism. It's where they attack religion. It's where they attack the family. It's where they attack American history. In fact, it's where they attack the very idea of America itself. And so it's no wonder that when they bring the children here from another country, they have no desire to teach them about America or even teach them the language, because otherwise, these children would one day become independent of them. And the last thing in the world that the apostles of big government, mostly Democrats, last thing in the world they want is for anybody to become independent of them. And I'm sorry to say that mindset characterizes a whole lot of Republicans as well, who are absolutely unwilling to take on the teachers' union and solve this problem that's been around for a long time. I have a question for you, Steve, before I let you go.
Okay.
Do you support school choice?
Absolutely. I have no school-age children anymore.
Nor do I.
That the children should be able to go to the school that will give them the most education.
That's right. And you know and I know that here in the LAUSD, most of the parents are Latino, and a huge number of those people may not be educated themselves. Tell me, do you trust those parents to make better decisions than the LAUSD when it comes to their children's education?
Absolutely. For those parents of children that are listening, the hand that rocks the cradle raises the nation. Talk to your children and educate them. Even though they may be going to public school, you have to educate them.
That's right. And we need to give those parents, and while I've got everybody on the phone or listening here tonight, I asked, just to let you know again, we have National School Choice Week, starts next Sunday and goes through the following Saturday. That's January 20th through January 26th. Our own School Choice Summit is going to be in Pasadena on Saturday, February 2nd at 9 a.m. Go to CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org and click the School Choice button. You'll see the announcement there. Sign up for our announcements. And in preparation,
go ahead. Definitely sign up early. I think this event's going to be in demand. So and seating's going to be limited. We can only probably get around 250 people in there.
Yeah, and we hope that so many of you call in. We'll have to move the venue. Hey,
the Rose Bowl might be available.
It is. None of our teams are in it this year. And in preparation for that, I asked you to do a simple poll of your own. Talk to that young gal. Very often in the Los Angeles area, she's going to be a Latino gal, young working mother of any race. Ask them. You say, look, we're working on a program that would let you, the parents, make the decisions in your children's education. And this program would set up an educational savings account for every child in the state of California, K through 12. And into that account each year will be deposited the average per pupil expenditure in the state of California, which in 2018-19 is over $16,000. And that $16,000, you, Lupita, could send your child to a school of your choice, whether it is a public school, a charter school, a private school, or an accredited parochial school. And any money that you have left over, you could use for qualified educational expenses or save it for college. Lupita, what would you think about such a program? Just ask her. Ask her that question. Yeah. Ask the young fathers who are out there making the deliveries. Ask the young fathers who are really earning their work the hard way. Ask the guys who work in the repair departments and on trucks and construction crews. Ask them. And I cannot imagine that their answer would be anything other than what a young lady once told me through an interpreter. Cuando, donde, when, and where can I be part of such a program? Stephen, You and I are men of a certain age. We're of a generation of Californians past, and yet I sense that both you and I are completely dedicated to making sure that these children and Californians to come have the future, have the promises, have the opportunities available to them that were available to you and me when we were growing up.
Well, when I went to school, they taught us civics.
Yes.
I don't think they teach it anymore.
No, it's pure left-wing indoctrination and about how many different mommies, and you're trying to tell a 5-year-old kid who can't even uncross his eyes half the time to stay awake, hey, Joey, you might be transitioning. So to all the transitioning 6-year-olds out there, I say good night. And, Stephen, I want to thank you for calling in on the program. Hope you will stay with us in the future here. It's going to be a good year here on Radio Free Los Angeles. So what we have...
Transitioning 6-year-olds.
Oh, hey, I'm telling you. Well, you ought to listen.
You know what? Nothing would surprise me.
These people are absolutely flat out nuts, and they're taking little boys and little girls and telling them, well, you can't be so sure when you look down that you are what you are. Now, can you talk about confusing? If the kid wasn't confused before, man, he's got to be wondering.
It is the Twilight Zone.
It is. I had that one article, LTBQ2, whatever. It's all stupid, and the only reason that we get to talk about this is because they have captured our children. And look at the fights that we have going on. You raise your children, you teach them your values, you take them to church. And you've got some low-grade moron that calls herself a teacher who launches off on all this stuff, and they introduce textbooks that are completely countercultural. And it's bad enough that they don't learn their basic lessons, but these miserable creatures, that insist upon terrorizing children in classrooms. They prey upon them and propagandize them.
Let me ask you this: did you go to public schools?
No. I did on 2 occasions. Once for about 2 months. In grammar school, 2 or 3 months in grammar school. And then once I took a summer class at a public high school. Man, was I astonished.
Well, when was the last time public schools were worth anything in California? How long ago was that?
I think probably they were fairly good in the 50s and 60s and up to the early 70s.
So what happened? Do you think it's union influence? Is that...
Yeah, I think it's an abundance of things, that occurred. It's an interesting question. I wasn't in the system. My father,
and all your kids went to private school, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they did. Yeah. For the same reason that my parents put us through Catholic school in my cases, but there were many other people. But there was a time that those schools. The public schools were not that bad. It really was. I don't know when it went bad, but it's like with everything else. I think that the quality of the schools declined when they came under the sway of politics and public unions and careerists, and also the left knew the absolute importance.
There's a lot of money involved, and so the left, saw that as an opportunity.
That's right,
and they took advantage of it.
Right,
and now we're seeing the results.
That's right. Yeah, you can trace it to the rise of the public unions itself throughout the United States. Now, of course, someone's going to call on me. Oh, I had some great teachers. Oh, I know Miss Popsicle. She was just so dedicated and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I know that. There are good people in there.
I've been watching the coverage of this strike, and I think the teachers are victims. I think they're being taken advantage of by the unions. I mean, they're being used as props, and then they trot out these kids with the signs. Well, I think the real villain is the union.
Yeah, I don't know, but they got them all out on strike. And you know how we will know whether these teachers are victims? We will know whether these teachers are victims by how fast and in how great a numbers they leave their own teachers union. Now, you'll recall here, we're coming up on the hour here, but you will recall here a few months ago that we talked about the impact of the Janus decision, Janus. And for those of you who have been keeping track of such things, you will recall that the Janus decision came down last June, and it basically said that public employees could no longer be forced to either belong to public unions or have their money taken forcibly from their paycheck and sent to the unions. Now, here in California, there's a lot has happened as the unions have attacked.
They were prepared, I think.
They definitely were.
I think they've made it really hard to leave the union and cancel your dues.
Yeah, you may recall my conversation with Ed Ring about that.
Yeah, I think that's where.
Yeah, and Ed Ring's with California Policy Center, where their chief executive officer will be Mark Booker will be on later. But when Ed and I were talking about it, both of us had about the same estimate, and that is that the defections from the union won't be as high as maybe conservatives are hoping. I'm putting it, Ed Ring and I put it maybe around 15 or 20%. And why? Well, I think because, and that's why I disagree with you about teachers being victims. I think that most of them will stay in there because their unions, no matter what the teachers' personal political principles are, no matter how conservative they are in their own lives, I think when it comes to their money and benefits, they're going to stick with that union because that teachers' union delivers benefits to them and salary levels and money and a quality of living that is simply not available in the private sector at gunpoint. Right, and they love it. They've got lifetime job security, followed by unlimited lifetime pension benefits and health benefits, and a standard of living that is just not available to the average citizen.
So where do you see this strike going? How's this going to play out?
Hey, look, I think
is Sacramento going to step in? Gavin Newsom.
Oh, this whole thing, the stagecraft is already in place, all right? Yeah. And I was there was an article by Howard Bloom in today's issue of the Los Angeles Times. If I have time, I'll come to it later. But we've got all these sob sisters out there talking about the strike and how, they're overworked and this and that. When I was in grammar school in the 50s, we had 40 children in our classroom. I'll tell you, those nuns kept order. There was learning going on, and our class sizes were always large, and the nuns always worked very hard, and the children learned. Catholic schools outperformed public schools even back then, mostly because of the discipline. There was accountability, and because you would catch out, you screwed up at school, you didn't go complaining to your parents. You hoped like hell that the nun didn't tell your parents because it was going to get worse at home.
Right.
And God help you if it got up to the pastor of the parish. Holy mackerel. I mean, spend my eternity in hell, for back talking a nun. You just didn't do that. And no, I never got hit. Those ladies were wonderful. I loved them all. Hey, that music that you hear is the station break of the half hour. When we come back, we're going to have Mark Booker from the California Policy Center, and this Jonathan Wilson and Mike Alexander, Radio Free Los Angeles, back with you.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and Editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
Okay, back with you here, Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson. If you want to be part of the program, we'd love to hear from you. 866-870-5752. We're also on Facebook.
That's right. I was just going to say, don't forget, you can find us on Facebook and watch the broadcast live on our Facebook page. And if you just search for Radio Free Los Angeles, you'll find it.
Right.
And be sure to like the page.
Yep, absolutely. We have a growing audience here.
Hey, we've got a few people watching on Facebook now.
We do.
If you're watching on Facebook, chime in, make some comments. If you have questions,
right,
let us know.
Yeah, you're the reason that I have to behave during the radio breaks.
Yeah, I think they can hear us during the breaks.
They can indeed. So maybe we'll be monitored. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, the LAUSD's 31,000 union members are set to go out on strike tomorrow. Their negotiations apparently collapsed, even with Buettner, who I think is the chairman of the Los Angeles Unified School District Board. I don't know. I don't follow the politics that much, but there is one guy who does follow these issues and has for years, and he's going to be our guest, Mark W. Bucher, B-U-C-H-E-R, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Mark.
Yep.
All right,
great.
Mark
Bucher.
It's the German pronunciation there. Let me read you his bio real quick. Mark Bucher is the Chief Executive Officer of California Policy Center, which is, we quote widely and often here on this show. Mark has been actively involved in public affairs since the 1993 Proposition 174 school choice campaign. I was a volunteer up here. Back then, Mark acted as the volunteer coordinator for Orange County. His observations during that campaign of the power and influence of the unions in our state led him to found the Educational Alliance, a group dedicated to assisting independent school board candidates, as well as authoring, qualifying, and chairing the 1998 Proposition 226, which would have required unions to receive permission to use their members' dues for political purposes. Mark obtained his undergraduate degree in mathematics from Biola and his Juris Doctorate from Western State University, where he embarrassed us all. He graduated summa cum laude, first in his class, and was also valedictorian. Mark lives with his family in Orange County, California. Mark, welcome to Radio Free Los Angeles. We're delighted to have you tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be on.
Yeah, when I spoke with Will over the weekend, he mentioned some of the actions and reactions that you and the California Policy Center are having to the strike situation, and so we thought it'd be a great idea to have you on. What's your take on what's going on up here in Los Angeles?
Well, it looks like there's going to be a strike. Even though the district has offered 6% pay increase with retroactive, that's not enough for the union. They want more money. They also want to shut down charter schools because a lot of them are not unionized, even though they're doing a spectacular job of educating kids.
Yes,
the union doesn't care. They want more dues to come in. And the charter schools generally aren't unionized, so they're opposed to it and are trying to tell the district they've got to curtail these charter schools, even though, like I said, they're doing a spectacular job of educating kids. It just shows where the union's priorities lie.
Yes. Now, as a matter of fact, student population in the Los Angeles School District is actually contracting, from what I understand, and that the school district there, Los Angeles Unified School District's revenues have been going up steadily year over year. In 2014, which was just 5 short years ago, the Proposition 98 funding, which is not all the funding going in, was $67 billion. And 5 short years later, it's at almost $80 million. In other words, revenues have increased by almost 50% going into the LAUSD in the last 5 years with declining populations and fewer teachers, from what I understand. What is their problem? How come they can't give the remaining teachers, even assuming that they've got it coming, which I don't, but what's their problem with getting more of that money to the individual teachers?
Well, a lot of the problem is that the money's not going to teachers' salaries, but it's going toward two things. One is administration.
Yes.
Even though their student population is declining, they're not cutting administrators. You would think that, if 20% went to administration and their budget drops, 10% they would cut. So but that's not the way it works. The administrators are always the last to go. But another big problem is that pensions and benefits are rising dramatically. Those have, just reading a report, and I don't know the numbers exactly, but it's about 15% increase in teacher pay, but a 40% increase in the cost of benefits.
That's correct.
And pensions. And so now, teachers are ultimately seeing that, and for whatever reason, the union keeps pushing for bigger and bigger benefits, and then they say, well, but the teachers aren't making enough either. But, those pension costs are skyrocketing.
Yes. I looked at a graph earlier today by another outstanding website, Govern for California, and one of those, David Crane, I don't know if you know David Crane. I don't.
Oh, yeah, of course.
No, okay. So David Crane put a number out there. He does a lot of work just based upon the governor's numbers and other official publications. One of the numbers that he put out there about the LAUSD is that the annual revenue per teacher is $278,000. Obviously, that doesn't go to the teachers, but when we look at the basic metric for the system, it's obvious. It just proves what you just said, that all that money is going to something else other than teachers, going to administrative salaries, overhead, and infinity of other things, and not a nickel of that money goes to the building of the buildings. They're all free. Those, when I say free, they're off of that budget. They're on another budget. They're funded by bond revenues, and then on top of it, I've seen other studies of the school districts in California. By and large, whatever their budgets are, 15% of it does not come from the state. So they have other cash flows. You guys and Ed Ring and Larry Sand and other wonderful people with your institute have done incredible work in breaking down those budgets. But, when I read those things, and I'm fairly skilled, but they are really opaque and arcane. Do you have the same experience, the same challenges as I do in trying to figure out just how much money they really have?
Well, yeah, it's incredibly difficult to, you can't just read a budget and understand what's going on. And in fact, they intentionally try and make it complicated, I believe. I think the real story, though, what's going on is this strike is taking place for the first time in an environment because of a Supreme Court decision last year where teachers do not want to be going on strike. They don't have to be a member of that union anymore. And that's something that I think is it's brand new. I mean, a lot of teachers don't even realize they have that choice. And we've done some research, and there's a lot of teachers that aren't happy with the strike because they understand that it's not actually about getting more money for the teachers. It's about, like I said, it's about charter schools and things where the union isn't getting as many members.
Yes.
That individual teachers could care less whether a union has more or less members.
Right.
And they're being forced to go on strike, and they actually have the opportunity to resign if they don't agree. And so that's kind of a new thing that I think some of your listeners, particularly if they're teachers or other public employees, might be interested in hearing about more of the details.
Yeah, Mark, we've got some time. If you're able and interested in doing so, maybe you could walk this through this. We know, in fact, just in the last half hour, we talked about the Janus decision. That's the Supreme Court decision that you just referenced. And that decision gave them the opportunity to withdraw from membership and the ability not to be compelled either to be a member or to remit any part of their salary to reimburse the unions for their no free ride rule for representing them, right, and so forth. It was a very broad ruling. How does that Janus decision impact the decision of the individual teacher? For example, can they just say, hey, look, I'm out, I'm gone, I'm resigned, and I'm going to school, and I want to get paid? What are the mechanics of that? If right. There's a teacher out there listening right now who says, yeah, I'm hearing Mark, I'm hearing Mike, I don't like this union trash and where they're taking us, what can I do? What would your unofficial legal advice to them be?
Yeah, I can give general legal advice for this kind of thing on the phone.
Right.
But at California Policy Center, we actually give legal advice to public employees. Mm-hmm. So if anybody wants to go to Cal Policy Center, California Policy Center, and we'll help them. But in general, like you referenced, in June of last year, the Supreme Court said no public employee can be forced to join a union or pay them any money. Mm-hmm. And for the first time in all of our lives, that, our professional lives, certainly, that has been an option now. And so it's very simple. All you have to do is send a letter to your union, and you send it to the employer as well, saying, I do not want to be a member anymore.
Right.
And we have... there's a website, unionduesrebate.org, that you can go to.
Unionduesrebate.org. Got it.
Yeah, unionduesrebate.org. That's a site that we're partnering with. And there's a form right on that site that you can, if you want the language. But it really doesn't have to be any magical language. It's just, I no longer want to be part of the union.
Right.
And you send that to them, and you don't have to be part of the union anymore. And if you don't want to strike, that's what you would do, is you'd say, I don't want to be part of this organization. Make sure you get a letter in before you cross the picket line.
Right.
And the big thing is that you'll immediately stop having money taken out of your pay.
Uh-huh.
It's over $100 a month is what I've been seeing for teachers that is going to support the union, pay union dues. So you're immediately saving $1,000, $1,200 a year, and have the freedom to go back to work.
Right.
So that's something that any teacher who does not agree with what the union's doing, that's exactly what they ought to do tonight.
Yeah, got it.
Go to unionduesrebate.org, print out that letter, and send it in. And if you've got any questions, contact us at Cal Policy Center.
Yeah, that's CaliforniaPolicyCenter.org. Fantastic site.
Yeah.
And don't forget, while you're out there, folks, to sign up for their newsletter. It comes out, I get emails at least once or twice a week from that organization. It's one of the, it's a unique resource, and we've spoken often here of your organization there and your great people. We've had Ed Ring on before. I look forward to having Bill Swaim on. In fact, we had previously scheduled for this time Cece Iglesias, who was going to come on and talk about the California Policy Center's outreach and with parents.
Parent unions.
Parent unions, the parent union. They're doing a lot of great work. We wanted to hear about it. Tell me, I don't follow union politics that much, but would I be correct if I said that this is the first major labor action strike in the state of California since the Janus decision came down?
Yeah, that I'm aware of.
Certainly the largest.
Yeah.
So,
and we believe that the unions, now that people can leave them, they're trying to show, look how much we're doing for you.
Yes.
So we really think that this strike is largely because they're trying to make their members think, we're really fighting.
Yeah.
And but like I said, the research we've done shows that there's a lot of teachers who are not happy at all with the strike.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back to what I said, the best way to show your dissatisfaction with an organization that you're a member of and doing things you don't like is to quit.
Totally with you. Now, the connection that I see, I made a similar observation yesterday on that, but I compared this strike to the problem that the political dynamic that we have going on in Washington over the wall. It's really a battle that they can't afford to lose. If they fold with management, or if management caves into them, a great issue is decided. Or if they succeed in continuing to intimidate their own members into remaining members, or attach such pain to departure professionally that it has a chilling effect on the exercise of their constitutional rights, much will have been lost. And of course, no matter how this comes out, we still have the problem of the extremely low quality in education. You and I know, and you as well as anybody in this state, because you're such a veteran of these battles, know that no matter how much we pay these teachers, no matter how high revenues go, the quality of California schools continues to decline, and we're in the basement. We're 48, 49, 50th, depending upon which one you call. And so the time has come for choice in education. Could you tell us about where that stands with your organization? I have some knowledge, but I think that I'd love to hear from you guys, your take on this and where you see the future going.
Yeah, well, the California Policy Center supports just about any form of choice in education.
Mm-hmm.
We think that when parents are given options for their children,
yes,
it's going to lead to the best education for children. It's just we do it in every other aspect of our life. We have so many choices. You go to buy a car, what food you buy, where you shop, what
right.
clothes you wear, all of those choices. But when it comes to education, most people have one choice, and that's public education.
Right.
And so we're in favor of that. Now in California, the most accessible form of school choice is charter schools.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a misunderstanding about a lot of people about charter schools. Charter schools are public schools.
Yes.
They're publicly funded. They don't charge tuition. They have to educate every child that comes to them. If they have a waiting list, it has to be students have to be admitted by a lottery, so they can't cherry pick. But they're free to educate without most of the education code that is so cumbersome and is leading to such a low performance in our schools.
Yes.
And so they've got freedom to educate, and so you have many charter schools. You have some that focus on the arts, some that focus on STEM, some that focus on vocational training. There's classical charter schools. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just very dynamic, and it's working very well. Most charter schools have waiting lists to get in. There's hundreds of thousands of kids on waiting lists. We need more charter schools.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful type of school choice. Like I said, the unions hate it because most of the teachers are not unionized.
Right.
And that's the reason they hate it. It's not that kids aren't getting an education. Of course, they can't admit that that's the reason they hate it, so they try and claim, that different things are wrong, and it's just not the case.
Right.
studies over and over and over again show they're getting better education. So that's the school choice that's really available to most people here in California. There's not a voucher system or any of those kind of things here in California, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, and there's a number of us who are looking forward to launching a school choice initiative, hopefully for 2020. And to that end, we are having a school choice summit up here in Pasadena on Saturday morning, February 2nd, at the Old Roman S Room. If you go to California, CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org, you will and click on the school choice button. You'll see the details, and one of the key things that we're taking to the public in this organizational meeting of parents, principals, and pastors is the very excellent Educational Savings Act that was developed in part with John Kruger, who's a member of your board, and other people working there. And I think Senator John Warlock was pushing it through the state legislative process to get it vetted. Of course, no hope of it being adopted. But we think that's a very excellent beginning for the state of California. Do you feel optimistic that the public would be receptive to such a proposal?
Unfortunately, the unions have so much money because they're still in an environment where most people think they have to join them.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why we want the word to get out that you don't have to join them anymore. You can go to unionduesrebate.org and get your money back and stop paying them. But they have so much money that it's trying to pass something by initiative. It can be really daunting unless you can raise a lot of money. So the key would be to be able to raise a lot of money on the other side, and that's always a question mark.
Yeah.
Polls show that generally people start out supporting school choice. But by the time, you heard it before, I've been involved in several school choice initiatives. That's what you read my bio at the beginning. That's what got me involved in this was thinking, school choice is just a wonderful thing. And, but they pick it apart with money and ads. They're deceptive and say, they don't argue that school choice is bad, but this initiative is really, badly written, or this thing, or that's how they.
We're in favor of school choice, but not this school choice proposal. There's always
done it right,
right, and this will destroy public schools. Even though we're 50, if we just had another 50 billion, it'd be oh so different. But yet we see the revenues climbing each and every year. It seems to me, Mark, that the key to getting the money from the large donors is to first demonstrate that there's widespread public support. So we, in our organization, we've been working on various issues for at least 10 years now up there in Pasadena. We feel that it's time to call in parents and put this burden on them to get it qualified for the ballot, put the burden on them to help raise the money, put the burden on them to get this passed. And I think it's just really, really important that the citizens take responsibility, because we still have this big crisis of citizenship in this state. But there's no crisis of citizenship with the California Policy Center. And one of the things that you guys, if you hear that music, that means we're at the end here. And I really want to thank Mark Bucher for an outstanding interview. And thank you and everybody at the California Policy Center for all that you do. And if you'd like to learn more about them, be on their mailing list, and support them, you can go to the CaliforniaPolicyCenter.org. Become part of the solution to the future of California. Mark, thanks so much, and I look forward to being in touch, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, Bye. Take care now. All right, we've had on here Mark Bucher for the California Policy Center. As you know, I'm talking about education issues, and that music means we'll be back with you on the other side of the hour. Radio Free Los Angeles, radiofreelosangeles.net. Sign up, join, support us.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
Thank you. And Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, back with you here for the last half hour of our program. And at the end of the program, we will, of course, have our ever-popular feature here, Government Grifter of the Week.
And this week it's featuring LAUSD.
You got some good ones?
And I was inspired talking to by your interview with Mark. I've included some administrators. I've sprinkled in a few administrators, a few teachers, give you a sampling of what they're making over there at LAUSD.
It's astonishing. And, you know, tell them where you're getting your information.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's transparentcalifornia.com. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening tonight and you've got your computer open, go to transparentcalifornia.com and navigate to LAUSD.
Right.
And you might have a nomination that I overlooked.
Yeah, have your barf bag ready, because when you go through these salaries for all these people, you are going to be sick to your stomach. You can look up your own city. You can look up any city in California. You can look up the county. When you go in there and you look at this infinity of people that they have working, employed, I should say.
By the way, do you know how many employees there are in LAUSD?
Oh,
if you had to guess, I think this includes part-time and full-time.
Yeah.
110,000.
I was going to say about 100, Yeah, they're everywhere. This is possibly the largest aggregation of bureaucrats outside of New York, maybe and outside of the federal government. Or maybe only the military has more people working for them at any given time.
It's kind of obscene.
It is.
And we're 50th in the country in
education?
We're
50. Yeah. That's the state.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can imagine how far down LAUSD is. They're the bottom of the bottom of the bottom.
And so what's their argument? They said give them more money and they'll maybe get up to maybe 45 in the nation.
Yeah, I know. Where's the value proposition? Yeah. We're asked to focus on their needs.
You've got to answer to your investors, and those are the taxpayers in California.
Right.
And if you're not performing, it's time to do something different.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And the problem is that the parents, because of their ages and income tax brackets, are very often not taxpayers, really. Not, although they do pay taxes in the form of sales taxes and so forth. But the fact is that by the time people have any money, they no longer have school-aged children. So those of us who are older and do have money are paying to put children through school, but we no longer have the same interest. I mean, I'm an exception, obviously.
Well, you've got grandkids.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all own this state. We rely for the future of our state on the ability of our schools to equip our students to participate fully in the economy of the 21st century and to participate fully in our democratic republic that we call the United States. And we're simply not giving these children the kinds of things that they need, and not only are we giving them not giving them the things that are good for them, we're force feeding them things that are bad for them. A flawed understanding of the nature of man and women, of the nature of marriage, the nature of the family. They're actively undermining the family. They're hostile to religion. They're hostile to the United States. They're hostile to you and to me. And so what do we do when we bring all these millions of children in here and millions of people in from the other parts of the world called immigrants, legal, illegal, or otherwise? When they come here, what is their chief experience with our government? Answer: the school system. They put their kids in school because they're required to, probably because they want to at the same time. So what they come to know about us, what they come to know about America, they come to know from people who hate us. They have an institution that's out there. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, that's not a school system out there. That is a political operation. And I know that there's teachers out there who don't want to belong. Mark talked about them. And if you are a teacher or an employee that's covered by this strike, what's that website? Did you write that down?
Yes, UnionDuesRebate.org.
UnionDuesRebate.org. All right, you go there. They're going to give you instructions about how to opt out that system. And all you teachers out there who are telling me how great you are and how devoted you are and how much you have the best interests of the children at stake and so forth, I'll know you and I will believe you once you resign from that disaster that you call a union. When you leave that union, take your money, go back to school and teach your children. Then I'll believe you. But as you know from my earlier discussions, I don't have that high of confidence in you out there. So you, Miss Marple, you got some splaining to do for yourself because your organization is out of control, your pension system is out of control, and you want more money from us. You have fewer students, more money. You're blowing it. So you need to find another way to start delivering value to your customers, and that's why we're going to go out and qualify school choice. And if you're any good, then I will welcome you to start your own school because you have $16,085 per student per year to work with. You ought to be able to pay yourself a fair wage and still pay that retirement system. You ought to join me instead of fighting with me. Hey, speaking of joining, we got our old friend Brent from Los Angeles who would like to weigh in on the teacher strike. How are you this evening, Brent?
Doing great. Hi, Mike and John. What I wanted to do, I'm also feeling a little safer now that a lot of federal employees are out of work, and also it looks like a lot of teachers.
I know. We're on a roll this week, man.
I'm feeling safe.
Right. I know the children are out of danger.
And what I wanted to follow up on was something that John said, and also relative to what Mark was talking about with the unions. John was saying that he thinks there's lots of good, decent teachers who really care about their students. And I think he's right, and I think there are a lot of teachers who are beginning to talk and try to figure out how to organize in a way to benefit their children as a result of this. What came to mind specifically was Rebecca Friedrichs and her new book, Standing Up to Goliath, which also talks about how teachers should disengage from the unions.
Right.
And maybe we need to stop calling them unions as well. These are syndicates.
Right, exactly. They're the whole project that I call government, as you know here, is nothing more than a criminal enterprise, or as I like to say, a fraud, a hustle, and a con.
Precisely.
And that's what's going on this week.
As long as we keep thinking about government as organized crime, we won't be too far off.
Right. Yeah, I thoroughly agree. That's where we really have to change our attitudes, and mostly, and the one thing that I'd like to pick up from Mark's earlier discussion, talking about how much money the union has. Well, of course, Mark, I agree with you. That's a self-evident fact. But what's most important and most significant in this state is not what the left does. It's not the money that the left and the public employee unions, the government people put together. It's what we don't do. That's the real scandal. Mm-hmm. And if you're not a member of the California Taxpayers Association, if you're not a dues-paying member, you are the problem, or a dues-paying member, something that's fighting this battle out there. But as I've said before, and let's talk about my girlfriend, my favorite teacher, Sally. I don't know if you've heard my story about Sally before.
I don't recall.
All right. Well, this is part of my shtick here, and talking about what really goes on in the teaching profession. And Sally is a 24, 25-year-old young lady who managed to work her way through school at one of the California state schools. She saved, she scrimped, and she finally got her diploma and got her teaching credential. She applied for school, and today she finally got hired, and today is Sally's first day at school. Sally's getting ready. Sally doesn't have any money, because she's got large school loans, student loans that she owes. Mm-hmm. Her parents are not that affluent. Mm-hmm. She drives a used car. She still lives at home. Her daddy helps keep that car in repair because Sally doesn't have any money,
Yeah.
And Sally is getting dressed today. She's putting on an outfit that's at least a couple of years old, but she's looking her best because today is her first day at school, and Sally doesn't have much money, Mm-hmm. But she's put her best foot forward. So she gets in that used car, she drives to school, and she parks down the street where the parking's free because she really can't afford to park in the lot and pay anything because Sally doesn't have any money,
Mm-hmm.
So she adjusts her clothes. She goes in there and announces herself. Hi, Sally McGillicuddy here. Today's yes, how may we help you? Well, I was recently hired, and today is my first day at school. Oh, yes, Miss McGillicuddy. Sally, we've been waiting for you here. So here's some papers here. You got to go fill out, go over there, have a seat. So Sally is over there sitting out there next to some of the students because she's really not fully on board yet. She is a member of the Great Unwashed, sitting out there with the rest of the children, filling it out. And suddenly somebody finally comes out, and she sees the school secretary point over towards her, indicating that that's the lady you want to see. And this guy comes out there, and he approaches, says, Sally McGillicuddy, yes, come with me. Now, who do you suppose this fellow is?
I don't know.
Is he the principal? Would he be the vice principal? Would he be the mentor? Would he be the HR guy? No, class. He's the union rep. Yes. So he says, come with me. And he walks into a room, and he goes in first because he's ill-mannered, doesn't let ladies or anybody else go forward, and sits her on one side of his desk. He sits on the other. And she starts to hand him those papers and the clipboard she was filling out. And he says, put that junk down. All right, that's not what he really says. Mm-hmm. Now, listen to me. Here's all you need to go. And he pushes a piece of paper in front of her. What do you suppose that piece of paper is?
A union contract.
There you go. You're coming right along. Move to the front of the class, Brent. All right. Okay, so see, there's learning going on here. We're educating as well. So she's there. He signs it up. Now remember, I just got through saying about 10, 15 times that Sally doesn't have any money. But that contract that she signs with the union requires her to pay dues. And in the state of California, those dues are $1,000 per year. $1,000 per year. $83.33 a month. Comes to about $20 a week is what it comes out to. And Sally will spend $20 a week. $83.33 a month. $1,000 a year for the next 30 years to ensure her future. And what I described to you is how serious they are about your money, Brent, how deadly serious they are about my money, how deadly serious they are about all of your money out there in Radio Land. That's how serious they are about your money. Now I ask you, how serious are you about your money? Are you spending $20 a week, $83.33 a month? Are you spending $1,000 a month? Are you spending $30,000 lifetime minimum to protect your money and to secure your future? And the answer is, on average, no. Now, of course, I know nothing about you, Brent, and none of this is directed at you, but it is directed at everybody else. I can assure you that I've spent that much and much, much more. And so have many, many of you out there. But if you're not contributing on a regular basis, you are the problem, not Sally. You are the problem. And so you tell me you don't have any money. I just told you about Sally. She's got no money. She got no man. She can't afford to be married, right? The only dress she got, she's wearing to the first day at school. But even though she got no man, she got no clothes. She didn't have a new car. She got a monkey on her back called a student loan. What does she do? She spends $30,000.
You know, these union guys, like you were describing, it reminds me of the fellows that hang out at the bus station waiting for teenage girls to come to Hollywood and make it as a star. And they're as sleazy and they're as underhanded. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, they are. The difference is that there's no whore that ever got a lifetime pension. All right? That is no real honest working girl. Now, the ones who go to work for government, they get taken care of just fine. Brent, I hope that my little speech has inspired you and many others of you out there to join our California Taxpayers Union, become a dues-paying member out there. This is what scares the hell out of them. This is why they don't take us seriously. And I hope, Brent, that I can count on you and others to come meet me personally at the School Choice Summit.
I'm planning on that.
We're going KRLA is going to be a sponsor. We'll talk more about that later. Brent, got another caller coming up. Thank you so much, my friend. God bless. Bye-bye. Mike from El Segundo. How are you down there?
Hi, fine. Thank you very much. I was listening. I usually don't listen to it. I was listening earlier today to KNX 1070 just to hear that.
Well, I thought you say usually don't listen to me. I said, gee, I almost choked on my children.
You're really good. Today you're really good. Every day you're really good.
Hey,
but anyway, so there was this woman, a school teacher, it sounded like, who called in and said that they did not want students to cross the picket line, and she talked about how they were making brown bag lunches to hand out to students so they could have their lunch without having to come to school for it. And this shows proof that they don't care about the children's education. And not only that, but I believe all the schools would lose their ADA money, their average daily attendance money, if the students don't show up. So this is a standard union tactic of trying to starve their employer of cash flow and money to extort out of them a new contract.
Primary, secondary, and tertiary embargoes and boycotts. No, that's what they do. Hey, Mike. We're on short time tonight, and
I understand
stay tuned because we're going to have what I know is your favorite feature and everybody else's Government Grifter of the Week here, and we're going to take a little extra time to talk about our friends at the Los Angeles so-called Unified School District here. Stay with us, and if you're not already a member, join up, and I hope I'll get to meet you personally at the School Choice Summit.
Meet you. And by the way, I went through LAUSD K through 12, and 7th grade a math teacher that did not teach a thing the whole semester. He got away with it. He retired in place and didn't tell anyone, and he kept getting paid.
There you go. Worthless. Hey, Mike, thanks for the update. All right, and now it's time. Hey, wake up in there, Jeff. I got
Music Maestro.
Music Maestro, please.
And now it's this week's Government Grifter of the Week Awards, featuring the Los Angeles Unified School District. And we have some very nice nominees this week. I think they're deserving.
Oh, yeah, yes. Special.
And we get this information from transparentcalifornia.com.
Yep.
And these are total pay and benefits for 2017.
Okay, pretty current.
Yeah, these are the latest numbers we have.
This is what they're striking about.
So our first nominee is a teacher with the district pulling in $189,000 a year in pay and benefits.
Jeez.
That's a pretty well-paid teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our second nominee is another teacher.
Yeah.
Pulling in $255,000 a year in total pay and benefits.
Oh, man.
Yes,
was that their last year? Maybe include the bulk payment or something?
And they say teaching at public schools doesn't pay.
I know. I missed it, man. I missed it.
Our third nominee is another teacher.
Yeah.
At $282,000 a year.
Oh, my God.
For a teacher in the Unified School District.
Amazing.
And our fourth nominee, because we wanted to include some of the administration.
Right, which is where the real graft goes on.
We've got a chief academic officer pulling in $309,000 a year. He's the chief academic officer.
Chief in a district that is at the bottom of the bottom.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
So our fifth nominee is the chief facilities executive with a total pay and benefits of $327,000 a year.
Unbelievable.
It's pretty well. They're doing well, and they want more. They want more over there.
I mean, they got guys that run Boeing plants that don't get that kind of money.
But this is amazing.
Yeah.
The general superintendent, the top dog at LAUSD, in 2017 pulled in $410,000 a year.
El Perro Grande.
That's a lot of money.
The big god.
That's getting close to $500,000.
Unbelievable.
So those are our nominees this week.
Right, and they're on strike.
That's right.
Right.
And they're not going to work tomorrow.
Right.
All right, drum roll, please.
All right.
And the winner of this week's Government Grifter of the Week award goes to the General Superintendent. Congratulations, General Superintendent. Yeah. This is your first nominee and probably not your last nominee.
Right.
And congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. And by the way, whoever you are, you can always call us at 866-870-5752 and tell us what the hell you do for that kind of money. Because we really want to know. It's amazing. Now, that guy might accidentally earn some of it doing graffiti removal at those places and, maybe having to keep the gun turrets in repair up there, and the lock gate.
Oh, you mean the facilities executive?
Yeah. Wait, this guy, call in here. It's a free country.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing any of that. He's probably sitting behind a desk.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for listening in. And for those of you who are ignoring all this, don't. It's very big stuff. The music that you hear means that we are at the end of what episode here?
49.
49.
Hey, good show, Mike.
Thank you.
You just get better every week.
Hey, well, thank you very much. I think we strive to do better. The problems are getting worse. We got to get better. So we want to thank you all for being our audience. Thank you, Jeff, there on the board. Thank you, Brooke, our screener, and Jonathan. Great to be with you again. I hope you'll be with us next week, even though Mama Wilson is coming in town.
Mom's coming in
town. Have her
stop
in and say hello. We'd love to see her. See you all next week. Take care.